Did you know there's a brutal difference between people who accumulate wealth and those who remain trapped by their salary, even when earning well? The truth is, it's not how much you earn that makes you rich, but how you think about money. Today, I'm going to show you exactly the 7 ideas that completely transformed my financial mindset, and that can change yours too. But I'm warning you, once you understand this, it'll be impossible to go back to thinking like before. Maybe you're tired of working hard, saving here and there, and still feeling like money slips through your fingers. You try following advice. You see around, but nothing seems to really work, right? This happens because most people are trying to get rich with habits of those born to live in debt. It was only when I changed my way of thinking that my financial reality truly began to change. In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 powerful ideas that reprogrammed my brain to build wealth. Even without being born into a rich family, without luck, without shortcuts. These are habits, perceptions, and mental strategies that anyone can apply regardless of current income. And the best part, you don't need magic formulas or complex spreadsheets to start. You just need to watch this video attentively until the end. If you're interested in financial freedom, investments, and want to understand what really separates those who live peacefully from those who live broke, consider following the channel. Here you'll find direct content, no beating around the bush, that can help you change your life. Now, let me show you why most people fail financially and how you can get out of this statistic today. Have you ever had that feeling that no matter how hard you try, money is never enough? You work, pay bills, try to save, but it always seems like something's missing at the end of the month. Sometimes you can't even understand where the money went, and then comes the frustration. Does this only happen to me? The truth is that millions of people live this same reality every day. It doesn't matter if you earn $1,000 or $10,000 per month. If your financial mindset is wrong, the result will always be the same: anxiety, debt, and stagnation. You even try to do what they say out there. Cut the coffee, stop going out, save every penny. But deep down, you feel this isn't enough to change your life. You know why? Because the problem isn't just in your spending. It's in how you see money, your daily decisions, and mainly in what you learned or failed to learn about finances throughout your life. And I know exactly what this is like because I've been there too. It was at this point that I realized it was no use working more or saving more if I continued thinking the same way. The turning point happened when I started observing how truly rich people thought and applying these concepts to my life, little by little. And that's what I want to share with you now, when I realized that my problem wasn't lack of money, but rather how I thought about it. Everything started to change. And over the last few years, I've been discovering 7 powerful concepts that transformed my relationship with finances and took me out of the frustration cycle onto the path of wealth building. These 7 points aren't quick tricks or empty promises. They're practical mindset changes that you can start applying today, regardless of your current financial situation. They involve everything from how you see work, consumption, investments, to simple daily decisions that make all the difference in the long term. In this video, you'll understand how to think like a rich person, even earning little, what to do to make money work for you, and the reason why many remain poor, even having a good salary. If you apply what I'm going to show you now, you'll start seeing opportunities where before you only saw limitations. So pay attention, because what comes next can change the course of your financial life forever. Let's start with the first insight that completely turned my mental switch. 1. Money is a consequence. Not the final objective. For a long time, my obsession was earning more. I believed that if I increased my income, all my financial problems would disappear. But the more I earned, the more I spent, and the less I felt I had control. That's when I understood something fundamental. Money isn't the objective. It's the result of value generated, discipline, good choices repeated with consistency, the rich people. I started studying, didn't wake up every day thinking about making money. They thought about solving problems, building something useful, generating real impact. Money came as a consequence of that, not as the main motivation. This was the first big turnaround in my head. When you put money at the center of your life, you become its slave. But when it's just a means to achieve bigger purposes, it starts flowing much more naturally. I stopped thinking about salary and started thinking about value. Value I could generate, deliver, multiply. The practical action here is simple. Change the question, how much will I earn? To what value am I delivering? Think about how to solve people's pain points, how to improve processes, how to offer something better. This change takes you out of survival mode and puts you in construction mode. The benefit: you stop chasing money and start making it chase you. And that's where true financial freedom begins, when money stops being an end and becomes a tool too. Your mind is your greatest asset. For a long time, I believed my greatest asset was time or my work. But the truth is that nothing compares to the power of your mind when well trained. Everything you achieve financially is born first in your thoughts. If you change your mindset, you inevitably change your results. I started investing heavily in knowledge books, courses, mentorships, podcasts. While many people thought it was expensive to spend on this, I understood it was the best possible investment. Because the return is unlimited, one right idea can be worth more than years of hard work. Rich people know this. They value knowledge. More than anything else, I realized I was programmed to lose money and didn't even know it. Phrases like money doesn't bring happiness or every rich person is corrupt were rooted in me. And this sabotaged my actions, my choices, my results. When I rewrote my beliefs, everything around me started to change. The immediate action here is clear. Invest in your mind before anything else. Set aside part of your income every month to learn something new about money, business, behavior, or mindset. Read, listen, learn from those who have already reached where you want to go. The benefit: you stop repeating mistakes and start making smarter decisions. When your mind evolves, your bank account ends up following the same path. 3. It's not about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep. I met people who earned 5 times more than me and lived more financially tight. This made me realize a painful truth. It doesn't matter how much enters your account if everything leaves at the same speed. The difference between those who build wealth and those who live in the red isn't in income, it's in retention. It isn't earning more, it's keeping more than you earn. I started observing my expenses like a detective observes crime clues. Each purchase, each subscription, each just this once was analyzed coldly, and I discovered I had dozens of small leaks that together formed a giant hemorrhage. It was scary to realize how much money I was throwing away without even noticing. I learned there's a brutal difference between cost of living and standard of living. Cost of living are your real needs. Standard of living are your wants disguised as needs. When you can clearly distinguish this, you gain the power to choose consciously. And this choice is what separates those who accumulate wealth from those who accumulate debt. The practical action is simple. Write down everything you spend for 30 days, without exception. Then categorize between essential, important, and superfluous. Cut the superfluous, review the important, and optimize the essential. The result? You'll discover you can maintain your quality of life spending much less. The difference between what comes in and what goes out is exactly what will build your wealth over time. For time is your ally, not your enemy. The biggest lesson I learned about money was understanding the power of compound interest. But not just in theory, in practice, day-to-day, in small decisions. I realized that every dollar invested today is worth much more than the same dollar invested tomorrow, and that postponing was literally throwing money in the trash. I used to think, I'll start investing when I earn more or when I have money left over. But I discovered that those who wait for the perfect moment never really start. I began with $50 a month, then $100, then $200. The amount mattered less than the habit. Time working in my favor was worth more than any large amount invested too late. Mathematics is cruel to those who postpone and generous to those who act early. A person who invests $200 per month at 25 will have more money at 65 than someone who invests $800 per month starting at 45. This isn't magic. It's just time multiplying your money exponentially. That's why the best time to start was always yesterday. The second best is now. The action is urgent. Stop waiting and start today, even if it's with little. Open an account at a brokerage, set up an automatic investment, and let time work. For you, even if it's $20, $50, or $100 per month, the benefit. In a few years, you'll thank yourself for starting today. And you'll understand why Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. 5. Debt is the cancer of finances. If compound interest is a wonder when working in your favor, it becomes a nightmare when working against you. I discovered this the worst way possible, seeing my credit card grow even while paying every month. Debts aren't just negative numbers in your account, they're vampires that suck your energy, your sleep, and your future. Every dollar you owe today multiplies and steals your chance to invest and grow. When I started calculating the real cost of my debts, I almost had an attack. The purchase split into 12 installments on the card cost almost double the original price, and worse. While I paid interest, I stopped investing that same money in something that would give me returns. It was double punishment, losing money and losing opportunity at the same time. I understood there are good debts and bad debts, but most people only make the bad ones. Good debt is that which generates income or appreciates over time, like a well-made real estate financing. Bad debt is consumption disguised as investment, credit card, installment plans, travel loans. The rule is simple. If it doesn't generate returns, that's not worth the debt. The most urgent action here is to declare war on your consumer debts. List them all, negotiate, pay off the most expensive first, and cut the card if necessary. Financial freedom starts when you stop working to pay interest, the benefit. You recover your income, your peace of mind, and mainly your ability to build wealth. Because it's impossible to get rich when you're paying to be poor. 6. You need multiple income sources. Depending on just one income source is like walking on a tightrope without a safety net. For a long time, I thought having a steady job was synonymous with financial security, but the pandemic showed me how this security can disappear overnight. That's when I understood. True security comes from diversification, not dependence. I started observing truly financially stable people and discovered a pattern. They never depended on a single source. They had salary, investments, passive income, maybe a side business, or freelance work. When one source decreased, others compensated, and when all went well, growth was exponential. This was one of the most important changes I made in my financial strategy. The mistake many people make is trying to create multiple sources at the same time and not being able to focus on any. I learned the secret is building one at a time, with consistency and patience. First, I consolidated my main income, then created the second, then the third. Each new source was built with the excess from the previous one. The practical action is to identify your skills and think how to monetize them in parallel. It could be freelancing, consulting, selling digital products, investments, or a small business. Start small, but start an extra income of $500 can become your main source in the future. The benefit? You sleep peacefully knowing you don't depend on a single boss or client. And when multiple sources work together, your ability to generate wealth grows exponentially. 7. Invest in assets, not liabilities. The difference between rich and poor isn't in what they earn, but in what they buy with what they earn. It took me years to understand there's a brutal difference between asset and liability. An asset is everything that puts money in your pocket. A liability is everything that takes money out of your pocket. And most people spend their entire lives buying liabilities, thinking they're investing. When I started analyzing my purchases under this perspective, I got a shock. My car was an expensive liability. It depreciated, consumed fuel, insurance, maintenance. My own house, which I thought was an investment, was also a liability. Property tax, condo fees, repairs, financing.
Oh.
Asset working for me? I completely changed my strategy. Before buying anything, I asked myself if that would give me financial returns. I started investing in dividend-paying stocks, real estate funds, courses that increased my income. Each purchase was analyzed. Will this make me richer or poorer? This simple question changed all my financial decisions. The action here is to review everything you own and classify between asset and liability. If you have more liabilities than assets, you're on the wrong path. You need to reverse this equation. Before buying something expensive, ask yourself, is there a way for this to give me returns? The benefit. Gradually, your assets will generate enough income to pay for your liabilities. And when this happens, you finally understand what true financial freedom is. Look at what you just learned. 7 mindset changes that can transform your financial life forever. These aren't complicated theories or magic formulas. They're simple principles anyone can apply. But here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can watch 1,000 videos about finances, but if you don't apply even one lesson, you'll continue exactly where you are. The difference between those who change their lives and those who keep complaining about their situation is just one action. Rich people weren't born knowing all this. They learned, applied, and repeated until it became natural. And most importantly, they started exactly where you are now. Today can be the day. You look back and say, this is where everything changed. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to start. Because time will pass anyway. The choice is yours, whether it passes building wealth or watching others build it. If this video made sense to you, if any of these ideas lit a light in your head, I have a simple request. First, follow the channel, because here you'll find much more practical content about financial mindset, investments, and wealth building. No beating around the bush, no bogus theory, just what really works. Second, in the comments, write exactly this phrase: I choose to be rich. It may seem simple, but declaring this publicly is the first step to reprogramming your mind. When you write this, I want you to feel it's a promise to yourself. Third, share this video with someone who needs to hear these ideas. Knowledge that isn't shared is wasted knowledge. Congratulations. You just took the first and most important step. You changed your way of thinking about money. You know what most people will never discover? That wealth is a matter of mindset, not luck. You don't need anything more than what you learned here to start transforming your financial life. Remember, every rich person that exists today was once exactly like you, full of doubts, fears, and uncertainties. The difference is they decided to act anyway. But your journey to financial freedom starts now with the next decision you make, the future millionaire that exists inside you has been waiting for a long time. Don't keep them waiting any longer.